Joining us now, Ambassador John Bolton. He's former ambassador to the UN, former national security advisor for the Trump administration. I don't know whether you could hear that, Ambassador Bolton, but some sobering stuff to think about from Wesley Clark there about the end of the post-Cold War period in the world, a nuclear Iran. How do you see this?
Well, I think it's right to say the post-Cold War era is over. And I would say it ended last year with the formation of a China-Russia axis, with China as the dominant partner, and several outriders, North Korea and Iran among them. Iran is showing its loyalty to the new axis by selling drones to Russia to use in Ukraine, and by being a big oil supplier to China in violation of our sanctions, which the Biden administration isn't enforcing. Look, the threat that has galvanized the Gulf Arab states and Israel, that the thing they see in common is Iran, both the nuclear threat and the terrorist threat. That's what's led to the growing closeness, and it's very important because in today's world, the Gulf Arab states view the United States as weak and feckless. So Iran now faces a potential Israeli strike in response to what happened last night. I think it's imperative that Israel strike decisively, not proportionately, disproportionately, to reestablish deterrence and to convince the terrorist proxies that Iran has set up in its Ring of Fire strategy that they're not intimidated by what happened last night. Now, the Biden administration is putting it out that they basically said to Israel, not only are we not going to participate in retaliation, you shouldn't either, because no Jews died. You know, this is the kind of weakness that they also displayed in not attacking Shia militia in Iraq and Syria until 3 Americans died, despite 160 attacks by those militia before that. That's not acceptable.
What do we think about
Israel
the idea?
Shouldn't accept it.
Ambassador Bolton, what do we think about the idea that Iran is trying to save face by doing this failed attack, and that they didn't really want to escalate it? This was for domestic political consumption in Iran, and this seems to be undergirding the administration's position that you described that way. Is it possible that Iran hoped that this would be enough and that it could all stop here?
I find that very hard to believe. And even if it is what Iran believed, they look like fools today. They launched, the last number I heard was 320. I heard earlier on your show it's up to 400, whatever it is, 300 plus drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles, and maybe 3 or 4 got through. So who's the fool in this posture right now? Who looks weak? The regime in Iran looks weak. And a way to pin that down is for Israel to go after Iran's nuclear weapons program, which I think it can destroy or disable in very substantial part, if not totally. And think of this from Israel's perspective, or frankly from our perspective. Last night, with 120-plus ballistic missiles, none of them carried a nuclear payload. But can Israel be sure the next time it sees ballistic missiles or cruise missiles coming from Iran that there's not a warhead that's of nuclear capability? Israel's a small country. Former Prime Minister Ariel Sharon used to talk about the risk of a nuclear holocaust, 6 nuclear weapons, and that's it for Israel. So Israel can't wait and strike second if it faces a nuclear attack. Iran, desperate to get nuclear weapons, and I think pretty close to it. And if they can't produce them themselves, they can buy them from their friends in North Korea. I think Israel needs to put a stop to it. And that's not just in Israel's interest, it's in America's interest. Iran is a nuclear proliferator, is a threat to us, just like North Korea is. Frankly, if Israel is prepared to go after Iran's nuclear program, the United States should proudly join them.
Ambassador Bolton, we're going to have to leave it right there. Thank you so much for your time and your perspective.